All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Doctor Who. I am Josh, and with me, as always, is my co-host Jack.
Hi there.
How's it going, Jack?
Yeah, not bad at all, thank you. Not too bad. It was a massive relief to finally actually sit down and watch episode two. Which I was just, to be honest, I was itching all week after as soon as we recorded the podcast last week, I was overjoyed. I was like, that's it. I can sit down. I can watch episode two. I can get it over and done with. And I'm glad I did because I thought it was a good episode. I thought it was
Yeah,
a good episode.
me too. I've sort of been going through our notes just before this call, and because I was itching to watch it, I watched it straight after we recorded. I mean, we're now
Yeah.
recording this episode 3 or 4 days late, so I don't know what half of my notes are referring to anymore. But we'll just sort of make our way through it and hope for the best.
That's yeah.
So I said last week that this episode is the episode that I think of when I think of Doctor Who. On a rewatch, I think it still holds up. It's a good episode, and it is, I think, for me, it's probably the best summary of Doctor Who. What are your overall thoughts on the episode?
Yeah, I again, it's as I said last week, the first episode I saw was, even though Doctor Who was the first, Rose was continuing the Doctor Who series. It was still a pilot episode. It was a kind of a revamp. It was 20 years since they done it. So for me, this was the first true episode. This wasn't the pilot episode. This was the true first episode.
Yeah,
And again, I think they hit the ground running. It was almost like it wasn't a murder. Well, I suppose technically it was a murder mystery, but it was a mystery.
yeah.
It did everything that a first episode needs to do. It introduces you to the main characters. It gives a bit of background on the case. That in true Doctor Who fashion, it showed that they are going to be showing very weird and wonderful alien species,
Yeah.
people, set, kind of backgrounds, the whole lot, and that's what we need. And I think, of course, talking of weird and wonderful species, we do have to start this episode off with an apology. Because last week we said we would be joined by a third party, and as you can hear by only just myself and Josh talking, he's unfortunately not here this week. But we hope he'll join us next week. But yeah,
That
so
was a
we have to
very
pass on.
strange segue. I didn't know where that was going for a second. But yeah,
Uh,
Bradley Fuller has flaked on us as predicted last week. Will he join us next week? Stay tuned.
yeah, but no. Going back to the episode though. Yeah, no. So it starts off. He between the Doctor and Rose, the Doctor's trying to show off and show Rose where kind of what the TARDIS can do. And I've
And
got to
he's
say,
doing a creepy bicycle pump smile thing, right? Did you pick up on that?
yeah, you know what, I actually put in my notes bit of sexual tension because I'm assuming that, it's a BBC, kind of I suppose it's technically children's, but I'm assuming that there's no relation, well, apart from like a companionship, but I'm assuming there's going to be no relationship between the Doctor and his companion throughout, kind of the rest of the season. But I did think there was a little bit of tension there. He's making direct eye contact while he's pumping that bicycle thing. And
It
every
was
time he's
very
going, you want to
strange,
go
wasn't it?
further? You want to go further? And I'm just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a strange start to an episode, I've got to say.
But yeah, so yeah, I love that use of the TARDIS though. I think all these like mad contraptions, no button really does anything, but they all do something. I think it's a good start. And the further. I've got my second note is keep it light, Doctor. And again, it's been a while since I watched the episode. I can't remember what I'm referring to. I think as they get out of the TARDIS, he's like, yeah, you all die and everything has its time and everything ends, sort of thing. Like, fucking hell,
Yes.
this is your first date, basically. What are you playing at?
Well, that's it. And I've got to say, I did actually put a note there saying, quite specifically, the Doctor's a bit of a dick because I don't think, again, it's what we went back to in the first episode about, he's very matter of fact. It's this is this, and that's it. He doesn't realize that Rose is watching the entire human race. I know they're not on the planet, but the whole planet Earth just be destroyed. And he was just
Yeah,
like, yeah,
yeah.
by the way, that happens. And I just think he missed that kind of, and I think maybe that's what they'll try and develop is Rose will give him that kind of human element to things, being a bit more caring, understanding emotions, everything like that. And yeah, I think I do agree with you. Keep it light. It was just suddenly, it was just so matter of fact. He was just like, by the way, this is the day the Earth blows up, and it's like, oh, okay, fair enough.
Okay, we're going to start on an exciting, happy adventure then, are we?
Yeah, no, exactly. But I've got to say, it was quite interesting because my second note is it was like kind of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. except instead of orange midgets, they were blue midgets, which was just hilarious.
Yeah,
And I,
those things are very strange. If we can, just before we touch that, talking on the world blowing up, what did you think
yeah,
of the CGI in this episode and the actual, explosion of the Earth, the space station that they're on? What was the costumes and everything? What were your overall thoughts on that?
I've seen worse, I think. Again, it's 2005. We're now what nearly 20 years ago. Um, and I think it still stands up. I've seen worse CGI now, to be honest.
Yeah, I've seen worse CGI this year, to be honest with
Yeah,
you. So this was by far the most expensive episode of the series. Almost the entire season's CGI budget went on this
wow.
episode because they wanted the second episode to really showcase what this show can do. So yeah, it was by
Yeah,
far the most expensive episode. Um,
okay.
the costume. So, actually, first use of the psychic paper. What did you think of that?
I, it's a plot device, I guess. It's just I don't know, and I'm going to offend a lot kind of hardcore Doctor Who fans, but the whole because again with this with the psychic paper, you also saw him use the sonic screwdriver as well, and
Yeah.
it was just it's almost a bit of a like the Doctor's gift of air. It's a
Yes,
cop
which
out.
was
I feel
brilliant.
like it's a cop out. It's just like we need something to explain why he's here and how he can get away with it. By the way, he's got psychic paper, and I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, is that something that was previous, kind of in the previous old Who? Is that a thing, or is that
Good
just
question. I'm
something?
not sure actually. But so you're right, it is an absolute plot device. I don't think it's quite as bad as the sonic screwdrivers and it can't do anything at any time. The only
Hmm.
time it is really used throughout all of New Who is just we're here, we need a reason to be here so that people aren't asking questions. This is what we're going
Yeah.
to say. So I actually don't mind it because we don't want to waste time on them trying to fit into the group. Do you know what I mean? And
Well,
it would
exactly.
be too convenient if they had invitations for everything. So I think it works. To be fair, I think it
It
works.
works, and it also goes to the other point I was going to make as well. Was even though technically it's a plot device and everything like that, the translation thing I think works as well.
Yeah, that's a
The TARDIS is.
genius bit of
Uh,
fucking writing. That is, to be
Yeah,
fair.
because the first thing I was going to write down was, well, hold on a minute. You've got all these alien species here. How comes they all speak English?
Yeah,
Especially for a planet that doesn't, I mean, Earth. Not everybody speaks English on Earth, let
yeah,
alone the entire
exactly.
galaxy.
Yeah, yeah,
And straight away they just nipped it in the bud and they were just went, yep. By the way, this is how it works. We just you can just understand everyone and that everyone can understand you. And again, I think that when you've got something like that that works and it furthers the story without complicating it it's perfect. Why wouldn't you use it? And that's the beauty of sci-fi because when you've got sci-fi that's technically, set with in the future or something like that, you can, as a writer, you can have that and you can just say it works because future.
because future. Yeah, you're right. It
Yeah,
explains the issue without explaining the issue. It's called. There's
yeah,
a technical term. I think it's called like lamp shading or hanging a lantern or something like that, which is where the Marvel movies do it. It's where you know Thor's wearing his ridiculous outfit, and someone will say you look like a Shakespearean, blah blah blah, and it
yeah,
helps you associate with the audience more because you're thinking it in your head. If the character then says it on screen, or if it's then addressed on screen, you relate more to that character. So I think it's called
yeah,
lampshade. But yeah, you're right. I think it works. The translation thing absolutely think it works.
yeah,
So then he gets into the party the Doctor and there's plus one, and then they get introduced to all the different species. Um, I fucking love that bit, man. I think it's so funny when all these strange creatures are coming in. You know, the little blue one that sat on the chair. I think it's called like the Mox of Balhoun or something like that.
yeah. How PG are we keeping this? Because my note was very specific on, it was a comment on what he looked like, we should
Go
say.
on.
But I called him knobhead because he literally looked like a knobhead. Like I'm sorry, but someone again at the BBC had to make a decision, like the mannequin in the first episode.
Yeah,
Someone
yeah.
made a decision to make his head look like that, and fair play to him because that's just incredible. But
No, I
again,
agree.
everything's done practically. You could tell that wasn't just CGI. That was someone in that costume
Well, do you
with
know who
that.
it was in the costume?
No, I don't.
That's R2D2, mate. It's Jimmy V.
No, really.
Yeah, I swear down, it's
Incredible.
R2D2.
Wow.
He makes a couple of appearances as different small characters throughout Doctor Who. He's Banner Cafalata as well in one of the Christmas specials. But yeah,
Yeah.
R2D2 making a little appearance. I love that.
Oh, that's cool. No, that's good. But again, that's really, kind of really cool. That's what you want. But no,
Yeah,
I've got to say,
exactly.
like what you just said, having them introduce all of the, kind of just all these weird and wonderful alien species just coming in, it's incredible. And that's what you want from from something that's a sci-fi genre.
Exactly. And the Doctor's definitely trying to shag that tree, right?
Oh God, yeah. I again, I'm sitting there like, wow, this is, he's kind of, he's putting the moves on straight away.
Straight away without hesitation. Yeah,
I'm just like, but
without
the weird thing is,
hesitation.
I was going to say, because then the weird thing is, I'm sitting there thinking, oh, maybe she didn't enjoy that because she's if I'm, kind of correct, I think he's the first one that he gives the gift of air to from his lungs. I think that's
Can't remember.
the
Can't
first
remember.
species, and then she almost like she has a scanner, but it looks like a camera. Like she kind of like
Yes.
takes what I originally thought was a photo, but it's actually a scan.
Yeah.
And at first, I'm sitting there thinking, well, she's not been impressed with, his gift of air. And to be honest, I don't think I would either. But maybe with a tree, photosynthesis and everything. But
Oh, you're right.
she,
Yeah, maybe she grew an extra bush or something as a result of that bit
uh,
of air. Is that how photosynthesis works?
you just all right. A little bit of homework between now and next week is, blow on a plant and see how big it grows. And if it doesn't, then But yeah, no. I was sitting there thinking, well, hold on a minute. But she's interested in him now, and I'm like, well, maybe that's her thing. And well, we all know what happens at the end of the episode. But
Burn, baby, burn. It's gonna burn. Oh.
for some reason, it reminded me of Christmas. Kind of logs burning on a wood burner or something
Why
like
would
that.
you? I know we're jumping around here, but why would you take the
Uh,
woman made of wood into the hottest room of the ship? And he
I know.
also barely acknowledges her body.
Well, I mean, it's a pile of ash, isn't it? Really?
He just walks straight past it, barely a moment of silence.
Yeah, but well, he looks a bit sad. He has the conversation with the two,
Yeah,
what would you
yeah.
call them? Envoys, maybe, almost as like a kind
The
of
entourage. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, like But anyway, let's not jump around. But yeah, no, it's yeah. So that's that gift of air thing, and yeah, I think you're right. He put the moves on straight away, and it was like, oh, okay, it's a bit weird, but fair enough.
So the
Um,
other one of worth note is Face of Boe. How sick is his animatronics?
yeah, that is quite cool. That is very, very cool. It's just the scale of it as well is
Yeah,
huge,
it's mad, isn't it?
absolutely huge. And again, they shot it very well. I'm not sure. I don't know if they did it practically or if that was a little bit of CGI, but you could tell they the way they framed it, they kept the scale of it huge. They always
Yeah.
had something to put in perspective next to it, whether it be a person or the jukebox or
Yeah.
something else to show how big it was. That's just cool. I like that as well.
Good, because he may or may not return in future episodes.
Yeah, I don't think he got fried. I saw they were mopping the steam off of the front of his cage at the end, like what
Yeah,
cage glass
yeah,
at the end, which again I found really funny. I was like, yeah, I suppose he would have steamed up, as the heat, as the room heated up. But
yeah. No, so he may or may not
yeah,
come back. And then anyway, what do you think of Cassandra? Not a practical effect, CGI. Go on, far away.
I had some interesting thoughts, actually. As I said, I clocked that she was the last human on Earth. Um, in the kind of the next week's episode thing.
Yes, yeah.
She is, yeah, she's very interesting, and I see what you mean. It's a comment on kind of plastic surgery and developing, kind of getting to the point. Where is that point that you have so much like kind of you make so many modifications to human that you stop becoming human and start becoming something else?
It's a real triggers broom scenario, isn't
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure.
it?
And I just think to the point of where as a human, funny enough, I wouldn't have considered her a human, and I don't think Rose did either. That
Yeah,
was the main thing. I don't think Rose considered her a human. She thought she was an alien.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
That's actually so. Cassandra is, I think Russell T Davis came out and said, based off Nicole Kidman, he saw her at a red carpet event and just how stick thin she looked and the work that she had, and that was his inspiration for Cassandra, which I think is
Wow,
pretty brutal. But
that's a proper kick in the bollocks, that one, for
isn't
Nicole
it
Kidman.
just? Yeah, isn't it just? But yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
hilarious.
again, kind of depending on how PG we're keeping this one, but it just made me laugh because something I noticed, and again with the CGI, someone made a decision, but her mouth was actually see-through. So there was just a hole
Yeah,
where her mouth was. So every time she spoke, there was nothing behind it. Like for
it was
us,
a
we've
gap.
got,
Yeah,
the back of the throat. It was just a hole with some lips. And, I was just sitting there and I put a note somewhere as well. Where is it? I just put walking glory hole because
yeah.
I mean that was it. It was just like there was just a hole there, and I'm just like, that's very weird. But the moisturize thing made me laugh. Where she just comes up and she's just like, moisturize me, and
What
then you got.
fantastic lines. And then the callback
But
at the end as well, when he's like, what are you going to do? Moisturize me.
yeah, yeah, but it made me laugh with those kind of leaf blower, kind of, I don't know what you call them, moisturizer things. They very
Yeah.
quickly turn from moisturizer into poisonous gas or
I,
whatever it was.
I noticed that as well. Is she being sprayed with acid the entire time? Or do
I
they
mean,
have
she could
like a
be.
switch that I don't
You
know?
know,
I
I
don't know.
didn't consider that actually, because it may be where she's had all this modification and everything. It's to us, it's deadly, but to her, it's nutrients, I guess. Because
Yeah.
she's got to eat somehow, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that surprised me. Let's move it on a little bit. So I've got a note here, and again, I can't exactly remember what I'm referring to. It says he's clearly ashamed of his past, foreshadowing, chat with Rose. I think that's when they go off into the room, and she's like, "Where are you from, Doctor? Where are you from, Doctor?" And she's
Yeah.
struggling to get it out. What did you feel in terms of character development for the Doctor this week?
Well, again, it was the overall picture I saw was I think that Rose is there to not only be a companion to the Doctor, but also, as I said, to kind of provide that human element to the Doctor, because the Doctor, of course, is an alien. Well, at least I think he's an alien. But that's, I think that he needs to learn the human side, things like emotions, having compassion, that's there. And I think that was the first display that the Doctor isn't actually human,
Yeah, yeah,
because he had no kind of consideration for Rose whatsoever. If you think about it in practical terms, he has abducted a human being from the year 2005.
yeah,
In the next hour, has dumped Rose on a spaceship, surrounded her by all these random alien, species, shown her the last human on Earth, which looks like a trampoline, and then goes, "I don't want to tell you about the past,"
yeah,
and isn't
yeah.
very understanding. And it's just like, well, that's
That's the
very,
signs of an abusive relationship. To be
yeah,
fair, it's
no, exactly.
borderline gaslighting. Yeah,
It is. No, it is, and that's the problem. I could fully see where Rose was coming from, because she was just like, I think she almost wanted to go home, and I think when he redeems himself later with the mobile phone. He does redeem himself later, but on that part, yeah, no, I genuinely think that was to show that the Doctor still, the Doctor isn't human. He is going to have some faults that us as humans see as a bad thing. But
yeah.
yeah,
No, that's a really good pickup. That sort of comes back as well in Peter Capaldi's season. So hold on to that for the next 4 years or however long it's going to take us to get
yeah.
there. Talking about the phone, the music in this episode and in this
Oh,
series is fucking brilliant. I can't
it is
remember it
brilliant.
at all, but I've got a note here that says music rose on phone with Mark. It's just exceptional, and it
Well,
really,
I know
even
one
though it
of them.
hasn't stayed with me, it stays with me.
Oh yeah, no, one of them I know was, I think it was "Toxic" by Britney Spears. I
Oh
know it
yeah,
was a Britney
well, no,
Spears
yeah,
song.
I was talking about the score of the
Oh
episode in
no,
the
no,
season,
no.
which is amazing. But you're right, the jukebox or the iPod, sorry, what a brilliant joke, by the way. What an absolutely
Yeah,
amazing
I
joke.
I just realised I've now confessed that I really like Britney Spears on live podcasts.
Live on
So
air.
at me, But no, yeah, no. I mean, this is. I think that's the thing with what the BBC do really, really well, is their actual scores. The actual kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
ambience music, and it is incredible. And it really does set the scene for the end of the world. That's it, plain and simple. This episode is the end of the world. And I think they've done that perfectly. They really
Yeah.
did do that perfectly.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I've got a note here that just says racist, and I've no idea what I'm referring to. Can you help me out?
Ooh, interesting.
I
I'm
think
gonna
it's
say
probably just before Cassandra. Cassandra is racist, I think, is what I'm referring to.
potentially. Yeah, no, I think she's potentially racist. I mean, she says about Rose having her chin flattened and various bits and pieces. I mean,
Do you
for me,
know?
I suppose.
Go
Well, well, I was going to say the thing I put was surprise, surprise, hooded cloaked Death Eaters are evil.
on. But they
The
weren't in the end, really.
well, they were just
They were a red herring.
pawns.
They were
Yeah,
just
pawns. But yeah, I mean, I think again having Cassandra as that kind of she saw herself above everyone else, that kind of thing, and I think
yes.
yeah, I mean, if you looked at it more carefully, I mean, I fell for the red herring. I was just straight away. I saw these hooded figures come in with the with kind of the claws and everything, and I thought, yeah, no, they're going to be the main bad guy. And it was only when I actually like kind of started listening to what Cassandra had to say, I was like, actually, I wonder if she's got something to do with it. And it was really weird
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they almost do like a double red herring because
Oh,
when the
when the
doctor
little scuttly thing
yeah.
goes
And
up
it
to
goes
her.
up to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cassandra straight away. And I was like, oh, I knew it. And then suddenly it goes away. And I was like, wait, what? They
Yeah.
really were evil. Like, it's brilliant. It keeps you guessing. And
That's
that's
a
what you
nice
want.
little end of this. Yeah, I think she says something along the lines of, there are some half humans or something like that, or they dabbled with other races and stuff like that." And I was like, oh, this is almost becoming like a racist bloodline thing now. This is very, I'm the last pure human. I think she says something like that. And
That's
it's like,
it. Yeah. And again, I mean, like, I wonder, again, 2005 was a different time, wasn't it, really?
yeah,
And I
say
wonder,
that again.
there's some, now you said that, I'm sitting here aloud thinking, I wonder if Doctor Who does touch on more modern subjects, should we say? To
Well,
do with like race and identity and
such as Cassandra saying when she was a little boy. That threw me a little bit. I've forgotten she says that. It's quite a
you're
topical
right.
reference at the minute. Yeah, she goes, when I was a little
When I was a little
boy, blah,
boy.
blah, blah. Yeah. So, they really
Yeah.
do. I mean, Russell T Davis is always very forward thinking on these things, but
Yeah.
progressive on these things. But yeah, yeah, she says when I was a little boy, um, which I just thought was super interesting. I had another point there,
Yeah.
but totally, totally slipped my mind. So yeah, Cassandra is brutal, and he flat out just kills her, basically. Or he doesn't kill her, he lets her die.
He lets her die, which again, my note from that was, well, Cassandra's death was grim. I mean, that was brutal. I mean, it just, yeah. I
But
didn't
the
think.
question is, was it actually her death?
I don't know. I mean, she's had so much surgery that there is a strong chance that she may actually come back. But
It's
I've
another
got to say though,
character that may or may not.
yeah, I mean, like you could see why they would bring her back. And let's be real as well. Even if they just went back in time, she'd still be around. Her death was just at that point in time. I'm assuming if they went back, 10 hours before, she'd still be there.
Interesting. That could make an interesting
He says.
plot
Um,
development.
the best death though, the best death for me came with the I can't remember what they called him. They didn't call him the overseer, but like the caretaker kind of
Oh
guy.
mate,
The blue guy.
that's brutal. That is, like, if you
Um,
actually think about that for a second, that is a brutal. That's a
oh
brutal
yeah,
way to go. Sunburnt to death.
absolutely horrific. I mean, but the biggest thing I saw. Now I don't work in health and safety. I work in an office. I don't work with big machinery or anything like that. But even I know that you have to have safeguards. And if your entire shield can be, kind of put down with the press of one button on a keyboard where you press other buttons quite regularly, imagine you're typing out an email and you accidentally press a button and you just
Yeah.
open your front door or something like
Yeah.
that. Like instead of just going, oh yeah, backspace, just take out that one. You've opened your front door, or you've just accidentally, I don't know, you've opened the floodgates down the road to your dam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Surely they should have had a little key there that you twist first and then you press the button to let down the deadly shields. But
Or
yeah,
cover it
no,
with something. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, like a little cover or something. But yeah, that was an interesting one. I've got to say, I did feel sorry for that guy, but yeah,
Yeah, he didn't
a man that
deserve to
has
go like that.
it's a brutal death. It is a brutal death, but
Also, why did he need to die? What was he gonna do? Like, why? Obviously, like, why? Seek him out. Why murder him and then let the rest of them die naturally?
well, they made it clear that he was the guy that was in charge in terms of the actual, not in charge of the, kind of the overall rich people gathering, but he was the one that operated that part of the thing. So he knew where everything was. He would have known about the cooling fans, and
Okay,
he would have
okay,
known about
fair
the
enough.
reset. So I'm assuming it was they killed him because he was the only one that would have been able to stop the shields going up and down and everything like that. Because he would have gone, I'm going to do this, or let's hack into this, or do that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Talking of that cooling room, that's a bit of a waste of time, isn't it? I sat there thinking, okay, it's okay. It looks a little bit like a PS2 game. What are we doing here? Why is the Doctor running through fans? Are we really wasting time on this?
Yeah, I guess it was they needed to kind of add a little bit more drama. They needed to up the stakes. It needed to be all right. They had to race against time, but then there's an obstacle in the way, or more specifically, three obstacles in the way. Three fans. But what I couldn't work out is there was a couple of things. One, I actually sat there and thought because throughout the episode they were announcing like it's 30 minutes until planet destruction, 25 minutes,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
actually kept with it from 25 minutes, like 30 to 25 minutes. They actually kept with it. I was looking there and I was like, oh, I wonder if they'll end the episode on the Earth being destroyed and that's it. However, when it got down to like the kind of the final part where they were like, it's like 2 minutes and everything like that,
Yeah.
it just completely went out the window. The last 2 minutes was apparently like 10 minutes long because
Really?
the 2 minute when it announced, right, when they announced it was 2 minutes left,
Yeah.
the doctor and the tree lady, they ran all the way down, they got to the fan room. They then had a lovely conversation about sacrifice and everything like that. The doctor then walked through the fan room,
Which
turned
did
back,
take
waited.
about an hour. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Waited for the lady to start combusting before he then
Yeah,
decided to
yeah,
give the switch.
yeah.
And then they were like, "Yeah, by the way, we've got a minute left." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" Like, I genuinely thought it was going to be like an episode of 24. Where they do everything in like, kind of in the correct time frame. And I was like, "Oh, okay,
I
fair enough."
timed it. I actually put my stopwatch on from the moment they announced 25 minutes. And
Yeah,
it was exactly 25 minutes. So, but I didn't, when they said 2 minutes, I didn't check my phone. So maybe they announced 2 minutes when there was actually 10 minutes left. So it's still lined up at
yeah,
the end. But
yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I think it does stick to it, except for that last sort of two
So
minutes,
I'm
as you
glad
said.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that actually sat there and heard a thing going, yeah, 30 minutes till there. And I thought, what if they're actually going to
I'll
stick
check the
with that
time.
30
Yeah,
minutes? Yeah.
exactly.
And that's why we're doing this podcast. But
That's why we're
yeah,
doing the podcast. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, as I said, that I think that's why they had to up the ante. They had
Yeah,
to say, look,
maybe
there is,
you need like an
you know,
action set piece. Yeah,
yeah,
maybe.
you almost need a climax. You need a climax, and then you need the big reveal of who the bad guy was or bad trampoline was. But the other thing I couldn't work out as well, I know, of course, he was, kind of in the fans, or he was the other side of the fans, and maybe the heat was being there. But what I couldn't work out is how she started burning alive, but he didn't.
Because she's made of wood.
I know, but I mean, we still cook,
Yeah, but presumably wood catches fire at a lower temperature than skin.
maybe. I mean, I've never uh, thankfully tested it, but
Also, he's a Time Lord. Maybe he's even more resistant.
that's a fair point. He's an alien. I'm thinking he's a human rather than he's an alien.
Yeah,
There you
I
go.
think that can be
Yeah.
fairly easily. Anyway, how did he manage to get back through the fans though?
He used the sonic screwdriver. There we go.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Probably should have used
Or
that from
used
the start.
yeah, that would have been a better one. But no, and then that was it. And then we went into the big reveal, and it was like, right, who's the bad guy? And it was, I mean, I was very upset that they actually just kind of the Death Eater, kind of evil looking things were actually just did he say they were a repeated idea?
Ah, the something of the repeated meme. Yeah.
The repeated memes, which again, I thought, I wonder if memes is actually memes as we know it now.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't sort of look into that to be fair, but yeah, they were just
Yeah.
nothing in the end, which was a little bit sad.
Yeah, no, exactly. I thought they were going to be something that was going to be quite menacing and everything, and I suppose they were because they were the ones that gave out the robotic spiders for presents, which is probably up there with air from your lungs as one of the worst gifts you can ever give. But
And
yeah,
being
it was.
spat on by R2D2 as well. Don't forget that was one of the
Yes,
gifts.
I forgot that happened actually. Yeah, that was a
Saliva
strange
from my
gift.
mouth or something.
Mm,
Disgusting. So
yeah.
yes, that's pretty much everything in the episode that I've got. Have you got any notes, anything worth noting? Did you find the series long Easter egg?
Well, I've put a note down. So I've put Easter egg and I've put ancestors because it seemed to me there was two things. Rose was trying to work out who the Doctor is and where he's from,
Yeah.
and then he has a conversation with the lady made of wood, and there's a point actually quite an emotional point where he sheds a tear because she says
Yeah, the
about
only on-screen cry from this Doctor.
yeah, and so I'm guessing because she said about the Time Wars, and I know your background, and it took a while to find out who you were and everything like that. So I think that they're trying to go. I mean, again, it could be horrifically wrong, but I think it's kind of ancestry, history, who you are, your identity. Your past defines who you are, but that doesn't necessarily determine your future.
Interesting
So yeah.
take. I'm not going to say whether you're wrong or not. I'm just going to say it's
Ah.
more of like a thing that you're looking for. Like
Oh, it's an actual physical thing rather than like a theme.
it's a thing or it's a person or it's like a recurring. I don't know how can I explain this to you without fucking spoiling it? What can I do?
It's not the mobile phone, is it?
What can I do to give you a clue? So
I
in
was really
God,
I was really hopeful you was going to say, no way, you've got that. I was so hopeful.
I don't know. You're fucking miles off. If I'm being totally honest with it,
Oh,
I think you're thinking too. I think you're thinking too sort of like it's more direct. It's more direct. There's something in every episode, except for maybe the pilot episode. No, I didn't see it if it wasn't there. But yeah, there's something in every episode.
okay.
By the end of it, you should be like, okay, this is happening a lot. So this must mean
Okay.
something.
Okay. Okay. Well,
That's
I
the
feel like I've
previous
been
one.
cheated here because technically, if you don't think it's in the pilot episode, then it's only been the first episode, so I've not had anything to compare it to. I feel like I've been hard done by it. But no,
Well,
so
no,
okay,
I'm
so it's
glad you took a
it's
guess. I'd like you to take a guess every
yeah,
week, I think. I know it's
yeah, no,
definitely in every episode from now. Okay, I'll give you an example, right? So
go on.
in a later season, oh no, I don't think I
Hmm.
can without. Oh no, I can
I
do this.
don't
I can do this.
you reckon? All right.
This isn't a spoiler. Yeah. So in a later season, I'm talking like series 4 or 5 or something like that. Somebody is trying to contact the Doctor, and the
Yeah.
Doctor keeps on missing it, but we as the audience keep on seeing it, right? So
Oh, so you keep seeing someone trying to cut. So I'm guessing it'll be like for a text message or like an envelope or something or
yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
The one that's sticking to mind is like he's facing the other way from like an aeroplane, like computer screen thing. He's looking away from it, and then this person pops up and shouts "Doctor," but it's muted. And then by the time he looks back, the message is finished. So things like that.
Oh,
But that something like that will happen in every episode of season 4 or season 5. So just look out for that this season, but not that,
you
if
know
that
what?
makes sense.
I don't know what they call it, but I love when a movie does that. So going slightly off topic, but like Captain America and the Winter Soldier. where they show that there was always something in the background. It was always there. Like you watch a movie and then you watch it back in the next movie, and they're like, actually, if you look at this,
Oh,
you
is
would
that
have
the
seen this.
Hydra thing? Is it?
Yeah, like the Hydra thing. Yeah, yeah, and they did it with Fast X as well. They were like, look at this guy. He was in here, and I
They
suppose.
kind of did it with Fast X. It was a bit.
Well, yeah,
Fast X was more of a retroactive sort of thing. But as you know, the only time I've seen Winter Soldier, we were pissed in Dubai, and I fell asleep halfway through it. And I think you carried on watching it, didn't
can't believe it. Honestly, cannot believe it. It's one of my favorite Marvel films as well.
you? I will get
Unbelievable.
around to watching it properly. But yeah, anyway, I
Yeah,
think that wraps up. Have you got any more notes about the episode? Sorry, mate.
no, the only final thing is, and this is a bit of a personal thing because from where we kind of grew up and everything, there was they have a magazine, and it's a really really nice cause if you look into it, but it's a magazine called Big Issue.
Oh, yeah.
And the idea of Big Issue is it's to give like homeless people a job. It's a simple job. They just stand there and they'll just hand out magazines and you pay for them.
Yeah.
And the really nice thing is I haven't seen a Big Issue vendor for ages, absolutely ages. And it really took me back because when Rose is on the phone to her mum, she walks past a Big Issue seller, and it is
Yeah.
literally like
Yeah.
right front, like kind of directly fronting the camera. And I was like, wow, yeah, I forgot about that. So that
Yeah.
was a nice little kind of British touch to, if you speak to anybody in Britain that was around, in the noughties or and remembers the noughties, if you say Big Issue, there is a chance that they probably, a strong chance they'll probably know what that was. So again,
And it
like with the
doesn't
flip
exist
phones,
anymore.
I don't think it does. I've not seen one for ages.
It always used to be outside the co-op at the bottom of the high street, right?
The co-op at the bottom of the high street, yeah,
Opposite the petrol station. So there's no
yeah.
one there anymore, or you just haven't been for a while.
I haven't been down there for ages. I haven't been down there for
Fair enough.
ages, but
That'll be.
yeah,
You've got to do a drive-by now for
I've
next
now
week's
got to do a
episode. Let
drive-by.
us
Yeah.
know if there's still a big issue guy there.
Yeah. But no, the only final note I've got is the next episode.
Yeah,
About the next
just
episode.
before that, I think this is on your notes as well. But this is the Titanic submarine. This is that, right? Basically, a bunch of
It
rich
is.
twats, watching a disaster, and then a
Yeah.
disaster happens. Like,
Yeah, I mean, look, the only reason I didn't raise it was because I didn't think we was going to, well, like the submarine as well. But no, it was very, very topical. I'm sitting there watching it thinking, oh, this is hitting a bit home, kind of home a
yeah.
bit close,
I
isn't
think he
it?
mentions the Titanic at one point, doesn't
I think he does. Yeah, I think he does.
he?
Because, yeah, in fact, yes, because he says about the iceberg. He says about the captain that someone says about this is the most like the
Oh yeah,
indestructible spaceship.
impenetrable or something like
That's
that.
it,
Yeah,
impenetrable.
yeah,
And he
yeah,
says, "Oh, I was on a ship once that they said was unsinkable, and it was only because of a captain and So they reference the Titanic without actually calling it the Titanic. But
yeah.
again, yeah, it was very topical. Rich people going where they probably shouldn't and coming unstuck. But yeah, no, it was very very topical, very topical. I actually did put that on my notes, but
I thought maybe we might even edit it out, but yeah, I thought it was a funny
yeah,
bit. So
no,
next
yeah,
time,
no,
JP,
definitely.
what are you thinking?
It looks insane, and I'm probably not going to watch it in the dark. I think that's quite a. It's like a Victorian ghost kind of thing. So I'm assuming they've gone. Well, I say assuming. It looks like they've gone back in time to kind of like the 1800s, early Victorian times.
Yeah,
And I'm
well,
assuming that's because they want to show that they can go forward in time and they can go back in time as well. So it opens up, for newbies like me, it opens up the playing field entirely. You can go anywhere in time, you can go any place in time.
yeah,
There
exactly.
you
They've
go.
ticked off all the boxes straight away. First the episodes, present, forward, backwards, done.
Yeah.
You're right. It does
Um,
look fucking. I've seen this episode. I've got my own opinions on the episode. We'll talk about it next week. I watched this
yep.
next time trailer, which I have not watched probably since it came out because I always skip over the credits and all that sort of stuff. This is
Okay.
a fucking shit scary next time trailer. That's
Oh yeah,
insane.
for
Like I was
sure.
genuinely watching like, oh man, I'd have hated this as a kid.
I've got to say, it's the point of where it almost reminded me of The Woman in Black. The film with
Yeah,
Daniel
yeah,
Radcliffe that came out. I'm sitting there thinking, damn, there's a bit where they're in the theatre. Oh, again, I think it looks like a theatre or something, and they're there, and she's just in the audience, and I'm
yeah.
like,
And her face is
oh,
glowing. Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Right.
like, that's pretty, yeah.
So Jack, what was our rating system? Did you like it or did you not like it?
Yeah, we said love or hate, didn't we? Yeah, that
Love
was
or
it. We
hate.
was
There
keeping
you
it
go.
plain and
Simple as.
simple. It's got to be a love for me. I think it was great. It's, he just had everything. I mean, you can tell they went hard on the CGI budget. They went big, and I liked it. I thought it was good. What
Yeah, it
about yourself,
works.
Josh?
Yeah, it's a love it from me. It's an absolute love it from me. Yeah. I don't think
Yeah,
there's really a bad episode in this series, but we will
really
let you be the judge of that as we move forward. So thank you very much,
interesting.
JP. Looking forward to next week's one. Watch it in the day, don't
Yeah,
watch it at night.
yeah,
And thank you for listening at home. Let us know what you thought of this episode. You could get us on YouTube. You can leave a comment or you can write to us. I'll put our email address in the description. But yeah, thanks for listening, and we will catch you next week.
yeah. We'll speak to you next week. Thanks, guys.
Adios, amigos.